It's been a while since I've put out an MMO hype video, because frankly, there just haven't been any good MMO releases in a long time. So hey guys, it's Hunt for Games, as always bringing you a healthy mix of videos on new releases in MMOs and nostalgia trips for the classics that made us fall in love with games in the first place. But Bless Online is coming out any day now, so let's get right into it. As a note, I haven't gotten any time with this game myself, even its other regional releases. All my opinions are based on reactions from others and statements from the devs, so take it all with a grain of salt. So number 1, world size and exploration. Looks like there's a ton of reasons to explore the world, which is seamless and open, with stuff like world bosses, elite enemies, a cool fantasy art style, and monster capture, which I'll get into in a little bit. There are just a lot of reasons to check into every nook and cranny. This is also a little riskier with open world PvP, which I'll also get into later, but this ultimately culminates in a dangerous, large, interesting world, which is a huge deal for me in general. Who cares if the MMO is amazing if there's no reason to venture out and see the sights, as it were? But the number one downside, while on paper this sounds awesome, a lot of what kept me interested in the massive world of Final Fantasy XI was rare notorious monsters and unique leveling or farming camps. I'm just not sold on how much of that there will be. I mean, seeing some of the numbers on total dungeons, total world bosses, I wonder how useful or plentiful elite monsters will be. Will they drop really cool, like undeniably amazing gear like in Final Fantasy XI, or just like a little extra golden experience? We shall see. So number 2 positive, passion from the devs. The devs have really pushed to get this game released in the US and released the way they want it to happen. They've definitely taken some of the feedback from other launches, betas, alphas to heart with the changes they've implemented in the current release. Combat was one of the biggest early complaints or faults of the game, and it sounds like they've taken a lot of time to rework the combat system and make it more enjoyable, along with character progression and general open world system. Of course, the downside is the flip side of that. The game has been in huge development hell for years. This game has been released in 3 other regions and hasn't done too well in the past. Changes have been put in place before the US release, but despite how cool some of the concept sounds, I have to remember that the game's been tried in other countries before and hasn't exactly exploded with success. In line with that, until recently, we haven't really been hearing much from the developers on what those changes were, what it was like, what the game's like now in its new form. The devs have upped their YouTube game a bit in the past couple weeks with a couple videos on the combat and different classes, but I'm still surprised with early access looming so close that we don't have more of a wealth of info. I'm hoping this can be another A Realm Reborn, but as A Realm Reborn approached release, we knew almost everything. There had been tons of betas. I mean, everybody knew everything about the game that was coming, because they knew they had one shot and they had to wow people and get people interested again. So I don't know. But number 3 does sound really cool, the taming system. Almost all of the monsters found in the world can be tamed to be pets, minions, or mounts. This is one of the things I'm most excited for. I love the idea of a Pokemon gotta catch 'em all mentality. It gives me another way to personalize my look and play style, and just like another reason to explore the world and find different cool enemies. See, the pets provide different passive bonuses, so you can choose what kind of focus you want as you're leveling and playing your character. There's also a sort of upgrade process to keep your current pets trucking along, which I think is great if you just like fall in love with whatever you've been leveling with. It's frustrating in some games when you have a pet you think is amazing, but realistically you should replace it as you outgrow it with other stuff in the zones. And as I was saying, this is also personally just a huge reason to explore the open world. You're always wondering if some cooler or goofier monster is hiding around the corner. And shit, some of these are massive. I saw some guy having a dragon trailing him around. It reminds me so much of Final Fantasy XI summons with just the huge size of them. I just love capturing monsters, so the idea that they might be beneficial and gives me something to hunt down is really cool. So the downside is a little loosely tied to that, but I mean the visual aspects of monsters reminded me of some other visual aspects that I'm not as pleased about. I mean, there's a huge visual downside in the UI. I was watching a couple videos and was shocked that everyone had the default UI pattern and size, but it turns out it's not adjustable. This just seems to be a huge miss to me, and I can't say how concerned it makes me that it's not even remotely adjustable. That just screams bad development, and I worry about what else is lacking in this game. Come on, I can't resize the windows? Are you serious? But number 4, one of the things I'm most excited for, character choice. So talent trees in most games are a thing of the past these days, but it looks like Bless's character progression options are actually pretty sweet. Not only do the pets have their own uniqueness, but there are different build options for each class that are totally up to you. While games with a PvP focus often can lead to more like min-maxing than any other style of game, I feel like it's also a great opportunity to really build your own unique character. While everyone's spending time preparing for the most likely build types, you'll be a unique and different struggle. If they're used to like a bunch of ice magic and you fly out a little fireball and nobody's seen a fireball in years because it sucks so bad, it at least makes you different and they have to account for you in different ways. I don't know, maybe that's a little amateur hour, but I think it's cool. I just encourage player choice in MMOs because I think it brings back the RPG into things, and it looks like choosing which abilities you slot and which passives you roll with will drastically change how you play your class, which I think is crucial and awesome. The downside of that though is that while the progression does sound amazing, I have some concerns about whether or not the game will be super pay to win and that experience of progressing will just be miserable. The devs have already admitted that certain boosts are going to be present in the cash shop, we're just not sure what they are yet. And we know they're going to be in game, I don't know how drastic it'll change the experience. Usually boost comes down to leveling speed and other time related benefits, and normally I'd say, whatever, if some people want to go faster, that's fine. But if open world PvP is such a big deal, this could have a big impact on my ability to compete from day one. If I'm in an area and everybody with me is like 3 levels higher just because they paid for it, that's kind of suck. I've just seen too many games that I could have enjoyed get ruined by 1 or 2 pay to win concepts, so I have many fears. Which does bring me to my 5th pro-ish, PvP. Tons of PvP, which is super different for me. I'm not really a PvP MMO player. All the MMOs I've played have been mostly PvE focused, and any PvP I only kind of dabbled in for a little bit of fun here and there, and I was never very good. But ultimately I am looking for something a little different these days, and PvP could be the big change that reinvigorates MMOs for me. There's a lot of different styles too, with open world PvP danger, while leveling and exploring, arenas, duels. There's like sieges of some kind with 100v100 battlegrounds, guild versus guild. You can challenge other guilds, which sounds pretty cool and would build that guild camaraderie. I've never really gotten into a game that had PvP at its core like this, and I'm hoping that it'll be something amazing that really brings back that feeling of danger and risk in MMOs. Fighting over important areas, zone bosses, rare enemies by killing the opposing players sounds pretty sweet, and a reason to group up. I mean, if I'd been camping Behemoth and could kill the other link shells that were around, that would have totally changed the game for me. It's just another different reason for me to want to progress, and has the potential to get me even more invested in endgame than usual. So while I might look at some boss and say, who cares, he's just too hard, there's no reason to fight him, why do I even need that gear? If I'm constantly being ganked by other PvP players, I might be like, I need that gear right now. I'm going to be so much more motivated if I'm trying to get stronger in PvP. Although my downside is directly tied to that. I don't really see anything in place that allows me to avoid getting ganked and ganged up on by players much higher level for no reason. Other games with this style seem to have the options that allowed you to sort of influence when and if you'd be involved in that style of play. I mean, come on, no one likes being one-shotted by a stealth character 20 levels higher than you. But I'm not really seeing any of those options here. There's an item, but you have to buy it maybe from the cash shop, and there's some limitations about what level you have to be or the max level you can be to use it. I don't know, it's just a little concerning that there's just not just a flag off PvP option. I just have concerns. But guys, that's sort of my pros and cons list for why I'm excited and afraid for Bless Online. To be honest, the fears are sort of outweighing the excitement a little, but in this empty MMO environment right now, I can't help but want to try it out anyway. Let me know in the comments if any of these points resonate with you or if I'm missing out on some of the important stuff. Hit me up if you'll be trying out Bless Online when it releases so we can coordinate servers or whatever, and as always, check back each week for more videos. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, you should totally think about subscribing. I've got videos coming out twice a week, and if you like this one, there's at least a chance you'll like some of the others that are very similar to this, so live dangerously. Let me know what you guys thought about the video in the comments and other videos you'd like to see. And finally, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Huntin for Games to keep up with all the latest stuff. See ya.